3 years ago, a group of top players left the PGA Tour and said the future of golf was somewhere else. They didn't sound uncertain about it. They spoke like the shift had already happened. The money was there, the backing was strong, and for a while, it looked like the sport might actually split in a way that couldn't be reversed. Now the situation has quietly changed, and the same players who walked away are starting to explore what it would take to come back. This isn't speculation anymore. There are confirmed reports that representatives for several LIV players have already reached out to the PGA Tour to ask about return options. The tone of those conversations is very different from what it was in 2022. Back then, players were leaving with confidence, talking about building something new. Now the focus is on whether there is still a place for them inside the system they left. The biggest reason for that shift is financial stability. The Public Investment Fund, which backed LIV Golf, has indicated that it will only continue funding through the end of the 2026 season and that the league no longer fits its long-term strategy. At the same time, leadership changes inside LIV have made the future less certain. That doesn't mean the league disappears overnight, but it does mean the guarantees that made it so attractive at the beginning are no longer as secure as they once looked. That's where the situation becomes complicated for players who want to return. The PGA Tour is not offering a simple path back. The commissioner made it clear that rules were broken and that those decisions have consequences. There isn't a single policy that applies to everyone. Each player is being evaluated individually based on how they left, whether they were involved in legal action against the tour, and what they bring back in terms of performance and value. The example people look at is Brooks Koepka because he has already gone through this process. His return came with conditions. He gave up financial benefits, accepted restrictions on where he could play, and had to work his way back into fields instead of being placed directly into them. Even then, the tour described his situation as unique, which is another way of saying it's not a model that others can expect to follow exactly. Other players face even more complicated situations. Bryson DeChambeau, for example, was part of the legal case against the PGA Tour, which adds another layer to any potential return. According to reports, his representatives also explored financial terms that didn't align with how the PGA Tour operates, and those discussions didn't move forward. That shows how far apart the two sides still are in some cases. Jon Rahm's situation is different again. His move to LIV affected not only his PGA Tour status, but also his relationship with the DP World Tour, which impacts his Ryder Cup eligibility. Right now, there is a real possibility that one of Europe's most important players may not be able to compete in the next Ryder Cup because of how those decisions overlap. At the same time, players who stayed on the PGA Tour are watching this closely. Some are open to the idea of players returning, but not without penalties. Others have raised concerns about fairness, especially for those who took legal action against the tour. Inside the organization, there is also a sense that what happened over the past few years still matters. The public criticism, the lawsuits, and the way the tour was described at the time are all part of how these decisions are being approached now. What the PGA Tour has made clear is that this isn't about bringing everyone back. It's about whether a player still improves the level of competition. Some of the players who left have maintained their form, but others haven't played at the same level or haven't competed in the same kind of pressure environment. That matters when decisions are being made about who gets opportunities going forward. If you compare the situation now to 2022, the difference is clear. At that time, the PGA Tour was reacting to players leaving and trying to protect its structure. Now the positions are reversed. LIV's long-term future is uncertain. Players are looking for options, and the PGA Tour is deciding how or if those players fit back into its system. This doesn't resolve everything immediately. Some players will find a way back, others won't, and some situations will take time to work through. But the direction has changed. The idea that the PGA Tour was going to be replaced hasn't held up, and the players who made that bet are now dealing with what that means for their careers going forward.